Well, hello once again, everybody. David McGlennon here with the Be the Leader podcast. I am like literally vibrating because I'm so excited. I've been excited about this episode for a long, long time because I have one of my friends here, and I'm going to introduce you to her in just a minute. But let me just tell you, first and foremost, you want to grab a pen. You want to grab some paper, and you just want to be ready to write some notes, because I can guarantee you in this conversation, there's going to be some amazing gold that gets uncovered. And so go get ready. And in the meantime, while you're getting your pen and your paper, I'm going to introduce my guest to you, Marissa Nielsen. And Marissa is the founder and CEO of Freedom Financial Group. She came from humble beginnings as a rural North Dakota farm girl and she built a multi-million-dollar financial services company. Like, how do you do that in North Dakota? But she's going to tell you. And she's had 27 years of experience. She's built a holistic planning firm, and she's built that based on core principles to educate, empower, and equip both individuals, organizations, and businesses so that they make wise choices. And she recently co-founded Empowered Women LLC because she believes empowered women empower others. And as a dad of a couple of girls, I wholeheartedly agree. And I think that's amazing. She's a money and mindset coach, and she's a thinking partner that provides simple, powerful strategies to take you, your business, your leadership, and your growth to the next level. She's the host of the Live Life Rich podcast, which I have to say, it's an amazing podcast. I'm a subscriber, so go out and subscribe to the Live Life Rich podcast, because you're going to want to check out all of her episodes. So first and foremost, welcome, Marissa. I'm so thankful that you're here.
Hello, hello. I am so excited to be here with you today, David. David and I, we go way back. We have been part of a mastermind group for a couple of years, an international mastermind group. And man, I'm telling you, when David said, hey, would you be interested in coming on the podcast? I'm like, pick me.
Oh, I'm so excited. It was, just having you here, the energy that you have is so amazing. And I knew that going into our conversation because of your amazing energy that I've come to know and love throughout our mastermind experience. So it's so cool. So let's go back for just a second. Talk about like what got you into the financial services industry. Feel free to like just tell us a little bit about your story and what got you into that industry.
Well, thank you. First of all, thanks for letting me be here, and thanks for letting me tell my story. I come from really poor people. I come from, and it's one of the reasons that I'm so passionate about helping people with money and with mindset today. I grew up in an abusive household. My mom, after my dad blew a hole through the ceiling of our house in the middle of the night, my mom packed us 8 kids up, and 8 kids moved to a 2-bedroom trailer house in North Dakota. It was winter and it was cold, and we did not have heat. And my mom said to me one time, when we were all around this little kerosene lantern, literally this kerosene heater, she made it seem like we were on a really cool camping trip, like, wow, this is really fun that we're nailing, blankets and towels to the windows and the doors, let's all have a camping trip in the living room, right? Here's our campfire. Let's roast marshmallows. But we were super poor. And I remember we had, fished this old brown couch out of a dumpster, literally out of a dumpster. And my mom, that's where she slept. We were all hustled around this little kerosene lantern. And I looked up at her one night and I said, Mom, we're like those really poor people they talk about on TV, aren't we? But we're not just poor. We're super poor. And she said, yeah, you are. And yes, we are, but we're safe. And now you have a decision to make in your life. I was only 14 years old, 14. And she said, you have a decision to make in your life. You can be a victim or you can be victorious. What will you choose?
That's so good.
Do you choose to be a victim or be victorious? What do you choose? And it really has been the driving factor for my life. My entire life really came from that one. There are moments in your story, and I would just share with any of your emerging leaders that are listening here today. There are moments along the way in your story that will be so impactful that you can't write your story and leave them out,
Mm.
or people that have been so impactful to you that you can't write your story and leave them out. And this was one of those moments for me. It's a life-defining moment that said, will I choose to be a victim or be victorious? And I would ask you that same question today. Like, who are you? Will you choose to be a victim or be victorious? Because life happens, we're at the time of this taping, this is going to be in some fault somewhere, I'm sure, but COVID is happening right now, and companies are suffering and people are suffering and the world is suffering. But at the end of the day, I believe you get buried or you build.
Yes.
So what will you choose? Are you going to choose to be buried or be built?
Mm. That is so good. And so in that moment, then you made the decision to be victorious as opposed to be a victim. And so like,
Yeah.
how did that start to play out then in that 14-year-old's mind as you moved forward?
Yeah. A short time later on, I heard a quote by Zig Ziglar that said, if you help enough people get, and I'm paraphrasing here, right?
Yeah.
But if you help enough people get what they want, you can get what you want. Right. And I
Yeah.
didn't want to be poor. Like, we didn't have food. I didn't want to be poor.
Sure.
I wanted to have heat. I wanted to have gas in the car, like basic things. Right.
Yeah.
And so I started my hustle, and I started delivering phone books. I sold Avon, like the door-to-door makeup thing. I babysat. I did whatever I could at that point, and then I got pregnant at 17. I went looking for love in all the wrong places. And when you're 17 with daddy issues in a single parent household, you make some decisions that aren't always good. But I can tell you, out of those decisions, the best things you learn is out of your, what people call mistakes. I call them lessons. And my lesson was, I looked at this baby girl and I said, man, I got to do something or we're going to be really poor. And I'm going to live 3 doors down from my mama in this trailer court for the rest of my life. And so someone gave me a chance. My aunt said to me, hey, you want to come to work for me, and I'll give you $5 a call for every appointment you set up. I started in the insurance industry working for my aunt, and $5 a call. And I said, okay, cool. You mean to tell me if I just set an appointment, $5, you're going to give me $5 for every appointment? I said, oh, sister, you said the wrong words, because that's 12 hours a day. That's $60 a day. I'm doing the math in my head. In 3 days of her coming to town to work, I could make $180. And that was life-changing money to me at the time. So yeah, that's where I started it. And then she said, hey, you're pretty good at this. Have you thought about going into the insurance field? And I said, I can't even spell insurance. Are you kidding me? What would I have to do? So she gives me a stack of books, no kidding, like this high. And I started studying and I got licensed, and then no one would hire me. And I was, 20 years old, and you had to be like 21 to get hired, and no one would hire me. And I said, well, now what am I going to do? And so I just started literally calling. I took out, back then we didn't have, so for all of you that are young today on the line, we did not have GOOGLE back then. We didn't. It
was something that was yellow and it was thick, and
yeah, we had this thing called a phone book, and we had this other thing called a library.
Right.
What's a library? It's crazy. It's what GOOGLE does today for you. Anyway, so I went through the library, and then I also went through the yellow pages, and I started calling, and I finally got hired. And that started my financial services career. And then I started to look around, and I said, what do people need? And I would ask you, if you're an emerging leader here today, or you're a business owner, look around right now, because in any obstacle, in any challenge, there is absolute opportunity around you. What do they need? What do they want? And what can you give them? Like, what can you provide for them in this time? What service or, product or situation do you see differently? And this is where you get buried or you get built, right?
Yeah,
So
for sure.
I looked around and I said, people need people need a big plan. They need a whole plan. They need a life plan. They don't just need insurance, which is
Yeah.
awesome too, but they also need investments and retirement and all these other things.
That's so good. So you made a choice and you created 100% responsibility for your life, which I think is so cool because I hear so many times, well, I can't because, or this is an obstacle, or this is my challenge. And I hear a lot of buts rather than yes, and I can do this. And so it sounds like from a really early age, your mom helped you to make a choice and be responsible for yourself. I mean, even with your situation of having a daughter at 17, you took that responsibility. Talk a little bit about like, why is that responsibility so important for a leader to take and really grab hold of?
Yeah, that's a great question, David. Here's the question I'd ask you. There's always two paths, right? So which path are you going to be on? And your responsibility as a leader is to say, I was given one life, this gift. I don't believe I'm coming back as a cat, right? So I got one life, one opportunity, one chance, one day. I have one day. And I believe really strongly that I will never waste a day. And that's a whole nother story. But I look at the world and I say, if you believe you can't, well, then you are a self-fulfilling prophecy. You can't.
Right.
If you believe you can't. I also believe if you believe you can, there is always a way if you're committed. There is always a way if you're committed. You might need and we're hearing that word pivot a lot, right? You might need to the plan is still to do this, but you might need to change the tactics in the plan. You might need to think into, how could I do this differently in this situation? Right now, when the world is working differently, even we're working remotely, things that with social distancing as the time of this taping, there's a lot of stuff happening in the world that's just really wild that we've never approached before. This is the time when emerging leaders can lead. This is the time when you can say, hey, wait a minute, is there a better way? Is there another way? Is there a way that we can come alongside one another and serve? And the first step is to self-lead. The first step is to make a decision about whatever the circumstances, whatever the situation, no matter what, I will not give up. I will not give in. I will not say no. I will not sit down. I will not shut up. I will not stop. I will not. Here's what I will do. I will stand up. I will keep talking. I will keep moving. I will keep taking one step forward. I will keep looking at opportunities around me, and I will find the people. If the people are not there, I will grab my water pistols of faith and hope and love, and I will charge the gates of hell, looking for the people that can come help me figure out how do we get it done, whatever it is.
Yeah, that is so good. Marissa, there was a question that came to my mind as I hear you with such passion. One of the things that I know I even talked about it in your intro, empowered women. And so one of the things that I hear sometimes, and it's men and women, but I hear it from women a little bit more frequently, is this idea of imposter syndrome. How did you like overcome that if you had it at all? Like, how did you overcome that? Like, what was your process? Because I can just hear our listeners, at least some of them anyway, asking that question.
Yeah, and I think where that question comes from is it stems from a self-esteem. I am not enough. And it's not just women that deal with this, it's men that deal with this too. I am not enough. And when you come from a place of not enough, whenever you hear that, that's a scarcity mindset. When you come from a place of abundance, then I know I am sourced and resourced with everything I need to effect change, to make the decision, whether it ends good or bad. I'm going to take responsibility. So the imposter syndrome, I used to hear way back, like this is darn near almost 30 years ago now, I used to hear things like fake it till you make it. I'm not a fan of fake it till you make it. But what I am a fan of is get in a group, get with people that will surround you and speak life into you and encourage you, but also call your BS.
Mm-hmm.
Can I say BS?
Absolutely. Yes, you
Okay,
can.
good. It's not what you're thinking, folks. The BS is call your belief systems. Okay.
Yes.
So I like to have a little fun. And
Absolutely.
I own a few companies today, and I was talking with my HR person the other day, and she said, I don't think we can actually say that. I'm like, oh, it's fine. We have good insurance. It's fine.
We're good. We're covered.
she was giggling. She said, only you. But
That's great.
let's call out the BS a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So the imposter syndrome comes from when people really start to think I am not enough, and I'm faking it till I make it, and I haven't quite made it yet.
Mm-hmm.
So here's what I would say. You are sourced and resourced with a gift, with a calling, with a certain design. And I'm a big fan of things like the disc. I love that. I want to know how am I designed? How are my people designed? How are the people that come alongside me designed? And then I am very aware of what questions I will allow to even enter my mind.
That's so good.
And do they come from a place of fear, or do they come from a place of faith? Now, even if you aren't a person of faith where you believe in, the grand overall designer or whatever, even from a person of faith, you have to have faith in something. You wouldn't be listening to this podcast if you didn't.
Right.
You wouldn't have a goal if you didn't, right?
Right.
So faith is really believing that there is more, that there is something more. And so the first thing I would ask you is, where are the questions coming from when that imposter syndrome hits you? Is it coming from a place of fear or a place of faith? Because if you believe life is a journey, as I do, I believe every single day I get up, I can get better. I can do more. I can become more of what I was meant to be. And so the first step is, do I know who I am? Do I know what I want? And do I know the action steps I need to take every day? And that kills that. Let me just tell you, I'm a warrior. I will pick up that sword and I will kill the imposter syndrome, because you are already that person. It has just not yet manifested. You are already that leader. You are already that CEO. You are already that successful business owner. You just got to go through the stuff you got to go through. It's almost like, have you seen Dora the Explorer?
Oh yeah.
Some of you that don't have like kids or grandkids, you're
yeah.
like, who's Dora the Explorer? Look it up. Google.
Yes.
Anyway, Dora the Explorer, she grabs her backpack, and she takes this backpack and she goes on all these cool adventures, but she's got to go over the water and through the river and over the mountains and all these places to kind of find her place on the map, right? Yeah. She's got a map of her life, of where she is right now and where she wants to go. And then there's things that get in the way of your journey. So when those things come up, I would say, pull out of your backpack the things that you know to be true. Pull out your journal that said, here's where my wins came from. I keep a wins journal. In fact, I brought it today. Awesome. I brought my wins journal, just because every single day, literally, I'm writing wins in my journal.
That's great.
Every day. Yeah. It's a way for me to honor and remember who I am in good and bad times.
That's so great. And you just said a key phrase, who I am. It's and literally, as we are recording this, I about an hour ago got off of my emerging leader inner circle call with emerging leaders, and we're talking about our I amness and who I am. And when we say I am, whatever follows that is so important. And so I hear you saying that. So as you're capturing these wins, it sounds like to me that you're capturing your I amness.
I am. And I will tell you, I start my day with a prayer, all that I am and all that I have to be used for his glory. Awesome. And again, take a deep breath for any of you who's not a person of faith. Yeah. You fill in your own blanks, but I am sourced and resourced. I am called. I am in demand. I am in need. I am in need for them. When I say that, I'm equipped with all that they need when they come in contact with me today. Yeah. And really, this is how I've run every one of my companies. I own a few companies, and as I own those companies today as a leader, one of the things that it can strike in your heart today is fear. And so when you speak out what you are, when you speak from a place of abundance, when you speak from, and this is practical, by the way,
Yeah.
What do you want? You write those things down and then you speak them out. I speak out my goals. Like this year, I want this. We will do this. We do it as a team. We are called. We are equipped. I am enough. Every day I am enough. In fact, not only am I enough, I am more than enough. I am overflowing abundance of enough.
That's so good, Marissa. And for those of you who are watching, especially those of you who are watching in the Emerging Leader Inner Circle, listen to the emotion in her voice. This is exactly what we were just talking about. When you not just say the words, but when you say the words and you feel, I am enough. Even if you don't quite believe it at the moment, you still feel it because your mind does not understand imagination or reality. It just is. And so when you feel that, it's going to solidify those words. So I just wanted to take a pause to share that with those who are watching from the Emerging Leader Inner Circle. And by the way, if you're not part of the Emerging Leader Inner Circle, I would ask you to reach out to me because you and your team can be a part of that as well. So I just would be an invitation from me to you to find out a little bit more about that. But one of the, go ahead, Marissa, you were going to say something.
That's huge, David. Actually, that's huge. My inner circle. I would tell you, if you're not part of a group that does that, in, through, and around you, you got to get up. And so here's what I learned when I lived in the trailer courts. I'm going to take you all the way back to the courts. Okay. And I know people giggle because they're like, you have, 200 pairs of $3,000 shoes. Yes, I do. She
does love shoes.
I do. I love a good pair of Gucci. I pick my homes now. I have homes in 3 places in North Dakota.
That's great.
Florida and Costa Rica. And I pick my homes per the closets. Like, where can I put my shoes? And are they temperature controlled so I don't wreck them?
I love that.
Anyway, but I'm going to take you all the way back to the courts because I know what it feels like to start out from nothing.
Yeah.
I know what that looks like. I know what that feels like to go to the cupboard and not have enough food. I know what that looks like to go to the bank account statement and there is no money. In fact, not only is there no money, it's overdrawn. And we used to call it rubber check Friday, right? Because we'd get paid on Monday. So on Saturdays and Sundays, this was before instantaneous things happened in your bank account. We used to write a check and it'd be rubber check day because we knew if they cashed it today, it'd get bounced. But if they don't cash it till Monday, we're golden.
You're good to go. Yeah.
So coming from that place of fear and doubt and not enough, I can tell you that you have to train your brain, and how you train your brain is you do it in a couple different ways. Number one, it's what you start your day with in the morning. The very first thing I do is, and I have a goal. Here's my daily goal. My daily goal is before my feet hit the floor in the morning, the moment my eyes wake up and I'm alert, the moment that happens, I want all of hell to shake and go, oh crap, she's up.
I love it.
Right? Because I'm going to help people. I'm going to serve people. We're going to go make a difference in the world. Now, coming back to the trailer court days, that is not where I started. But I have developed that over time. I am a work in progress. I continue to be a work in progress. Because the enemy of your soul will tell you, you are not enough. The enemy of your soul will tell you your relationships are sucking, or you're given too much at work. And so now, your marriage or your relationships are not in a good place, or you're not a good parent, or that is how you know the voice that you're listening to. And so when you get into an inner circle, when you get into a group that encourages you to take the next right step, when you get into a group that says, take out of your backpack, Dora, all the tools you need, because you are sourced and resourced, you are equipped, take it out, and they get around you and they begin to speak that into you. I'm part of a couple of masterminds. I'm part of an empowered women community. One of the reasons that I started this empowered women community with my amazing business partners, one of the reasons I did it is because I knew I needed to be empowered. So I looked around the world and I said, who's with me?
Mm,
Who's with me?
great
Let's go
question.
do it together.
Yeah.
Every week, let's do it together. Every week, we're going to come, we're going to show up, we're going to encourage, we're going to be able to count on each other, we're going to be dependable, we're going to be productive, and we are going to go take back the night, because the
Mm,
night is where your fears live. The
yeah.
night is where your hopes and dreams die. The night is where all the things that were placed into you that you know were born in you, the book, the new research, the development, the things that you can serve and do in the world, you can impact,
Mhm.
the big bank accounts where you can write some checks that make a difference so people don't have to go hungry today.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
That's where it lives.
yeah, that is so, so good. Gosh, I have so many questions going, like all over the place. But one of the questions I'll just kind of hone in on is in as you mentioned, we're recording this in the middle of a pandemic. I mean, we're still in the midst of it.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of uncertainty. Talk a little bit about, and maybe this is both to emerging leaders and business owners, because I've talked to a lot of business owners myself who, have had to make decisions in the face of not only adversity, but also uncertainty. How do
Yeah.
you how do you do that? Like where do you come up with, and how do you make decisions when you really don't know kind of the right answer, or you don't maybe necessarily have all the answers to make a decision? I wonder if you could speak into that a little bit.
Yeah, this can be as I'm a coach, a money and mindset coach, and of course I coach my team and I coach my clients.
Mm-hmm.
But as I'm dealing with other CEOs and other leaders in the world today that are saying, we don't know how long this is going to last. And so this is something I learned through my journey with my fiance, who passed away of cancer a few years ago.
Mm,
He was laying in a hospital bed in Mayo Clinic, and I'm going someplace with this.
yes, it's
I'm
good.
going someplace, but
Yeah.
he's laying in a hospital bed, and I was in a place of total uncertainty.
Mm,
I was in a place of going, I don't even know what to do next. I don't know how to do it. And so, one of the things I learned through that process was you have to get up and say, what's the next right step? You don't know all the steps, but if you watch that movie, Frozen 2, I love a good,
yeah.
I learned all of the good stuff I learned from kids movies, right?
Absolutely.
Frozen 2,
Uh,
Frozen 2 is awesome. They have this little snowman. His name is Olaf, right?
Olaf, yep.
And I'm a spoiler alert for anybody who's not watched it. Spoiler alert. Here it is. I'm about to spoil the movie for you. At the end of the movie, Olaf's about to melt. The magic is gone, right?
Yeah.
Olaf's about to melt, and he looks up at Elsa, and Elsa is afraid. And Elsa says, Olaf, I don't want to do this without you. I don't know what to do. I'm scared.
Mm,
I don't know what to do.
mm,
Help me, Olaf. You can't leave me alone. What do I do? And Olaf says, you just need to take the next right step.
mm.
You don't need to know the entire way on the journey. You don't need to have the whole thing mapped out.
Yeah.
But in your gut, in your training, I fight how I train, baby. I
Mm-hmm.
fight how I train.
Yeah.
And every day I get up and I say, what do I know? What do I have? And what am I good at?
Mm,
And so, what do you know? What do you know? And everybody knows something
mm,
about their business or their world. What do you know? And then what do you have? What's the don't look at what you don't have today.
right.
Take an inventory. Grab a notebook right now. Right now, grab a notebook, take an inventory of what do I have? What are my resources? And resources just aren't bank accounts. They just aren't assets on a balance sheet. They're also people,
Mm-hmm.
people who can speak into you, idea people. Maybe it's groups that you're part of that will speak ideas into you. Get around that right now.
Mm,
In the middle of a crisis, you need a couple of things. You need an arsenal. That's your inventory list. That's the stuff that I have. That's my weapons.
mm-hmm.
You need, I love like The Art of War. I love stuff. I
Yes.
love books like that,
That's great.
I'm such a nerd.
I
And
love it.
David's like, wow, we're never having her back.
No,
Anyway,
you're coming back
um,
again. I'm telling you.
so I love to think about this is like a war, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is a
Yeah.
war right now. It's a war for your business. It's a war for your life. It's a war for your relationships. And I believe living life rich is really about bringing all those things together, emotionally, relationally, spiritually, financially,
Mm-hmm.
physically, bringing those things together and say, so what do I have in my arsenal? Who do I know? What do I own? And then what's the next right step in my business? So, or in my career, because you are the answer to someone's prayer today.
Mm. That's
You
that's so good.
are.
Yeah, that is so
You
good.
are. And as a CEO, I would tell you, if you're a CEO or an emerging leader today and you're getting up, people are looking to you. And I know that this is pressure. I I know, like, the markets
Yeah.
fell 30%, right?
Right.
We manage $500 million. I
Yeah.
got people looking at us saying, what do we do?
Yeah.
And we come together, and all of our heads together will come up with a better plan than just one of us.
Mm.
So that's why I ask you, who do you know? Who's in your resource center? Who's your idea people? Come alongside them. And I absolutely refuse. Like, if you come in there, now there's the difference between reality, okay? That is a fact.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there are difference between facts and truth. The fact is we're in a global pandemic and your business might be struggling today. In fact, it's probably struggling today. The fact is we all don't know how long it will last. There's facts, but then the truth is I can still do something and I am still here for a reason. So what is the one thing I can do today? What's the
That's
one
good.
thing?
Yeah, that is so good. Gosh, that is so good. And if you're listening to this and you are just overwhelmed, take Marissa's advice and just take that one step. Take Olaf's advice and just take the one next step. That's all you got to focus on. That's all you got to focus on. Oh my gosh, Marissa, you are definitely coming back. I know we're getting close to our time here, and I want to be respectful of your time, but you are definitely coming back because there's so much more that I really want to explore with you. But I really am so excited about how you are speaking into people, not only the people that work with you and for you, but also the people that you've surrounded yourself with. And maybe the last thing I would just ask you is, like, how did you come to that place where you knew that you needed other people to really help you to be and everything that God created you to be? Like, how did that come about?
There was this older gentleman. I was 21 years old. I had just got started in business, and I went to a meeting, and I would sit at his feet literally and listen to him. He was like 85.
Mm,
Okay, and Al Eckert was his name. And Al said to me, Marissa, we all drink from someone else's well. We all drink from someone else's well. Today, I'm going to let you drink from my well.
mm,
And all of my years of experience, all of my knowledge, all of the things that have made me who I am today, who's highly, highly successful. So the fact that he even let me sit next to him and ask him questions, I always come with a notebook.
yeah.
I literally have a notebook with me everywhere I go because I get nuggets of gold everywhere. And now it's, it's a notebook or it's your iPhone, wherever you take notes. I do
Yeah.
both.
Yeah.
But how do you know? There's a time in your life when you think about who has helped you along the way. I would not be who I am or where I am without having been able to drink from someone else as well. And so then there comes a time when, and even right now, let's say you're 25 and you're listening to this, you have learned something up until now that you can teach a friend.
Yeah.
Find the thing that you know will encourage them, inspire them, help them, and then get up. Get
Mm-hmm.
up.
Yeah.
Get up. Rise up. Take that thing and speak it out. Speak it into someone else. Help them along the way. Maybe you're good at swing a hammer, whatever that is. But I would go to these meetings and I knew that if I wanted to grow up, I needed to get up.
Mm,
And I needed to do the things that other people weren't doing. Like, I needed to ask good questions. John Maxwell, one of the greatest mentors in leadership in the world today,
mm-hmm.
has a book about, good leaders ask great questions.
Yeah.
Love that book. And
Yes.
so I take that book and I've studied it. And people go, you studied a book on questions? Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
What questions do I need to ask myself? What questions do I need to ask my team? What questions do I need to ask my inner circle? Should they be in my inner circle? Let me just mention one other thing about that real quick, because I would tell you, this is one of the key components to why my life is the way it is today. Because I have, and there's no bragging here, only with full on total gratitude. Thank you is what I say every day, that I get to live this life.
Yeah.
I get to. And so when I think about that, I think about all the people who've helped me along the way. And you can be that for someone else, but you got to get into a group that speaks that into you.
Yeah.
You have to get surrounded by people that do that. And if they are not those people, I would also share with you that you might need to cut out the anacondas. Anacondas, that nasty, disgusting snake sucks the life out of you.
Squeezes you. Yes.
Yeah. So there are people around you right now that are anacondas in your life, in your dreams, in your hopes, and they call it reality. We're going to give you a reality check.
Right.
And what I want to do is I want to take out my spray can of hope and just spray them down.
Yes.
Get away from me. You don't get to be in my inner circle. You don't get to be by me, because nothing of abundance happens from a place of scarcity.
Yeah. Boy, that is so true. That is so true. Well, Marissa, I know we're at our time, and there's so much more. And I'm telling you, those of you who are listening, I warned you, go back and listen to this again, because there's so much great information about our mindset, about our just life, overcoming adversity. And I want to just encourage you to go listen to Marissa's podcast. Go subscribe, Live Life Rich. It's an amazing podcast. Go back to the very first episode. You'll get an expanded version of her life story, the story about her fiance. It's moving. It's amazing, and it'll suck you in. I mean, you're going to want to subscribe. So I just have to say that right now. You're going to want to subscribe. So, Marissa, is there anything that you would like to just kind of leave the audience with to wrap a bow on our conversation, and also tell people where else they can find you, in the social media realm or whatever?
Yeah, well, thank you for that. Yes, I do have a podcast called Live Life Rich, and I'm very passionate about this. The first 7 episodes are really my story and how I got from here to there. And then after that, I go into Destination Freedom series, which is all about building wealth, about making money your best employee. There's a business builder series that's out there right now today that is, just as you go through that whole series, if you're a business owner or you have to deal with money, which is all of us, by the way,
right.
I believe you can make money a tool. You can make it your best employee, and you can truly live life rich, not just with the wealth in your bank account, but I believe you can live life rich emotionally, in your relationships, physically. When I went through my divorce years and years ago, I was 60 pounds overweight, and I made a decision. Like, what does that look like? And the decision, by the way, was get hot, get even. And so
there you go. That's a great episode, by the way. Just an endorsement. It's a great episode. You got to listen to that one.
I have a divorce checklist that goes along with it, and then how to keep what you got,
That's
it's
great.
an important deal.
Absolutely.
You got to have a little fun though. And I would just share with you that, life was not meant to be this awful, horrible place to live. I believe that we can live a life of abundance, and that you are gifted, you are resourced with what you need. And that if you look around, if you just put your head up from the problem and look around, if you just look around, that the answers are there. They're waiting for you. In fact, they're probably calling to you right now. You wouldn't be listening to this podcast if they weren't.
Right.
You didn't find this podcast by accident. You just said, oh, I stumbled on this, or I just so happened to listen to it today. You could have been doing 100 million other things in this moment than listening to this. Right. But there was a reason that you listened to it. And so I would ask you, who are you? What do you want? And what are you willing to do to take the next right step today? Today to emerge, to get up, to grow into who you were meant to be. And that's what I would say is, think about who's around you, surrounding you, and what will you do with every day so that you never, ever waste this day.
Oh, that's beautiful. Marissa, thank you so much, my friend. I am deeply honored, deeply grateful. And I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here.
Thank you.
And
Thank you to all your listeners. This is going to be a great day.
You're gonna be back. You're gonna be back. We didn't even get into the financial gold that I know is in your brain. And so again, I'll just recommend go listen to the podcast, Live Life Rich. And again, thank you, Marissa. Thank you to our listeners. Thank you for the folks who are watching on YouTube. I'm entirely grateful and incredibly grateful for all of you and for your support. I'd love to hear your comments. So after you've listened to this, what are some of the things that you took away? Wherever you're seeing this, wherever you're hearing, you can reach back out, put a comment below. Let us know what was something that you took away. And really, until next time, then, be the leader and be well.